Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Welcome back. We have a very, very special episode today. We have a special guest sitting here. Karl, lovely to see you.
Good morning. How's things?
Good, thank you. Can you just say your job title out loud before we kick in, just so everyone can hear it from you?
I am officially the FIA Formula One medical car driver. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it?
Let that sink in, everyone.
Let that sink. That is a big job.
It is a big job. Well, hurry up and wait in motorsport. Sometimes you sit there on weekends and nothing can happen at all. And then some weekends, something about Australia, like the Melbourne Grand Prix, there's always action. There's always red flags. So it's you can have 3 weekends straight where nothing happens at all, and then other times where it's hectic and there's all sorts of things going on.
Well, our lovely friend of the pod and friend of ours, Ebony,
Yes.
from Michelin.
Yeah.
She whispered in my ear the other week and said, hey, did you know the F1 medical car driver lives in Melbourne? And I was like, does he now? And that's how I found you online. I didn't tell you that before, but that's how I stalked you.
Say good day to Ebony for me. Haven't seen her for a little while.
Yeah, we're heading up to Mount Cotton with her in a couple of weeks to race some Porsche cars, which will be a little bit of fun. But yeah, so this is all thanks to her stalking and pushing you out.
That's great. Well, if you need any tips up at Mount Cotton, I know that place pretty well. And and the Porsche models, you're going to have so much fun up there.
Well, I've done it. I have done it before.
Yep.
And I did maybe say to them I would like to do my other levels, not level 1 again.
Yeah.
So we're working on that.
You've got to progress. You've got to go to level 2, level 3.
Well, the goal is Sweden. Level 5, ice.
I could talk all day long about ice driving. I went to Finland a couple of years ago with my family and went to the Porsche Centre there. And it's just like this ridiculous automotive playground, like just slipping and I take for granted what I do sometimes. But when you go out there, you're in the middle of the forest in Sweden or Finland, and you've just got ice everywhere, and you're just driving around, slipping and sliding. You got to do it. It's the best fun you'll ever have in a car.
Bucket list for sure.
It's happening.
Do it. Make it happen.
Yeah, bucket list. All right, but I want to know before we get into it, we like to, and we haven't told you this, but we do like to start our episodes off with a warm up lap.
Okay.
So it's kind of like an icebreaker.
Yeah.
What's your most embarrassing story?
Oh gosh.
Maybe one that you can disclose. I'm sure there's some that cannot
there's
be
a long
disclosed.
list. It's like a Christmas list. Something that keeps reigniting itself, unfortunately. When I was racing in supercars, they got a few of the supercar drivers to get involved with the Clio magazine back in the day.
Oh
my God, I forgot about Clio.
Yeah, that magazine.
Do you remember the sealed section?
Yeah.
And
sealed section.
And maybe it was before I was racing supercars even. There was twice I did some sort of feature with them. And anyway, I did Clio Bachelor of the Year when I was 19 years old, I think. I was living overseas racing F3, but this is not the embarrassing part. I did a photo shoot, and I'm like a skinny little, race open wheeler racer. And I was so nervous at the time. I can't believe I'm sharing this. I'm going to regret this for sure.
Nah.
It was a long time ago for
It was a very long time ago, 20 years ago. And
you know what the funny part is? We probably had that issue.
So they got me to take my shirt off for this photo shoot. And then they quickly said, you know what, maybe put the shirt back on again. So that's the embarrassing moment. I was like 63 kilograms. I had a really strong neck because I was an open wheeler racer, but I looked like a marathon runner basically.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the first one that comes to mind, and I'm absolutely going to regret sharing that.
Isn't it funny though when someone doesn't mean to give you a complex but gives you a complex? It's like someone said to me in the gym once, oh, you have really big, strong legs.
Really?
And I was like,
the worst.
Uh-oh.
Which should be like a compliment for most people, but you could take it either way.
Or they're like, oh, you have very wide shoulders. I was like,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to cry now.
Does that tick the box? Is that a nice little icebreaker?
Yes.
Anyway,
Clio Bachelor of the Year.
No, absolutely not. So far from it. It can
Clio Dad of the Year now.
It can only get better from here off the back of that story.
It's only upwards from now on.
Definitely.
And especially what we were saying before we started, we were speaking about being active and jumping on the trampoline and all that. So I think very different now.
100%.
The body is filled out.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that's right.
So you have had a wild driving career,
Yes.
supercars, F3, I believe as well. How do you explain your career or your job to the everyday person?
It's when you get asked, I've two kids, we were talking about kids before, the first time you meet all the other parents at the school, it's like, what do you do for a living? And
that would be a weird one to explain.
Like, well, I usually say, look, the cop-out answer is I work in automotive and motorsport. I split my time 50-50 between automotive and motorsport. Yeah. But then there's more questions that follow. So what do you do in motorsport? That sounds exciting. And
of course.
I work in Formula One. I go, oh, that's neat. Like, are you a mechanic or something? No, I do some driving. I drive the Formula One medical car, and it's most
Jaw
people.
Dropped.
Yeah, as I said before, I think sometimes I take for granted what I do. I question sometimes how I've ended up in this position, and I think it's really interesting how people end up in these roles, because it's not something they advertise on LinkedIn, right? It's they don't advertise it at all. It's sort of word of mouth, conversations, the reputation that you have. But for me, I think if I was going to summarize my whole career, it's sort of when an opportunity presents itself or a door opens, whether you feel like you're up to it or not, and I massively suffer from imposter syndrome.
I think we all do.
Just going, you know what? I'm going to roll with this. I'm going to give it a crack, and I'm probably going to learn a heck of a lot from this experience, and who knows what it leads to. And that's kind of how my career took shape, and ultimately what led to this really unique role in Formula One.
It is a unique role indeed, and probably a role that I think a lot of people might want.
People chomping at the bit to steal it. Yeah.
It's also something that a lot of the fan base would take for granted, that this is a major role and that you forget that it's there.
It is, and it's funny because I work very closely with Bernd Maylander, the safety car driver, and he's got a huge following, a huge brand, because he is the difference. They're very similar roles, but the difference is he is in the limelight. He is stage center at the front of the pack. His role in a lot of regards, and I'd say this to him, is arguably easier or less complex, is probably a better way of putting it, than what our role is in the medical car. But we're kind of the quiet achievers under the radar. The only time you see us typically, unless it goes really pear-shaped, is the start of the race. We line up at the back of the grid. You see us momentarily. You get that classic view straight down the line, all the cars lined up 2 by 2. The red lights are on.
It's your moment to shine in that little spot. Whenever I look at the medical car there, I'm like,
it's exciting.
They're like, highlighting you guys.
Test my reactions out, and I still get nervous every single time, which I think is healthy.
Yeah.
With the sweaty palms and the heart starts beating.
Yeah.
It's an amazing moment. I remember my first Grand Prix, 2022 Australian Grand Prix.
Wow.
Lining up on the grid, and like the butterflies. I felt like I was lining up for a Formula One race.
Yeah.
So for me, Formula One was always the goal when I was a young race driver. Would love to have got that far, and I didn't quite make it. Threw the kitchen sink at it, and was proud of everything I achieved in the sport. But for me, it was a real sort of pinch me sort of moment to line up on the grid, have all the cars in front of you, and nerve-wracking at the same time.
Well, I wanted to ask on that, it kind of, if we do circle back a bit and we do maybe past your Clio bachelor days, take us back to the beginning. Where did your career begin, and then how did you get into the position that you're in now?
So I'm West Australian, grew up in Perth, and I've got a brother and a sister. I'm the eldest of 3, and we started go-karting from a really young age. I actually started driving cars with Dad. Dad's in mining and exploration. And I was driving manual cars at the age of 6 or 7 years old in the outback of WA. And I just loved driving. Dad had some race cars in the garage at home. And my earliest memories were, Dad tinkering with race cars in the backyard. And then we got into go-karting. It was such a lovely family thing to go and do. We went to all parts of WA that most people have never been to, in the far north, the far south, down to Esperance, Kalgoorlie, Bunbury, Bustleton, up to Newman, Karratha even. And we just tour around the state as a family. And Dad was a useless mechanic. It was he was no good on the tools, but we had a lot of fun with it. And at that point, it was just family time. Just time with the family, having fun. I didn't enjoy the school sports that we were kind of offered. I played a bit of footy and other things. I love sport. I was an active kid, but I just loved motorsport. I remember in high school, I'd be in class and I have like a textbook open, but inside it I had like a motorsport magazine that I'd be reading in class.
I feel like that's like it's such a movie scene.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? So I loved it. And we were talking about your memories growing up as a kid. And the thing with Dad, he would let me stay up late on a Sunday night. And Perth is much better time zone. That 2 or 3 hours makes a big difference when you're watching European.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe you live in Melbourne now and have this job and have to fly around the world.
I know, right? So I'd stay up on a Sunday night and watch Formula One with Dad, and it was our like special thing to do. It felt like you'd stay up late, past 8 o'clock to watch it. So yeah, it kind of progressed from karting to car racing and all the adversities that you face in any sporting career. I had plenty of accidents. I broke my back in 2003.
Hang on. That's why your back is sprained right now.
It could have something to do with it. That was a big rollover. And compression fracture and emergency rooms and things like that. But sporting, if you play sport, you're going to get injured, right? Yeah. It's just different injuries in motorsport. It's slightly more catastrophic usually. Including being on fire, which I've done a couple of times.
Wow.
You yourself have been on fire.
Yeah.
I have so much to ask, like that we had in our list, but I just need you to talk about that for a second because what is it like to be on fire?
Not pleasant.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry, I know this is not I shouldn't be smiling, but I'm just like, you never speak to someone that's been on fire.
No, it's I'm comfortable to talk about it. It's for me, I treat it like any sporting injury. It looked very dramatic and over the top. It was 2011 in V8 supercars at the time, and my clutch failed on the race start, and someone ran into the back of me, and the fuel cell, which has 75 litres on board, split, but also the firewall, which is the dividing wall basically between the fuel cell and the cabin, split open as well, and the fuel basically poured inside the car. And this is actually really important part. This moment for me was one of those sliding door moments that ultimately led to this role in Formula One, I believe, because I think when you're a young racing driver, you think, and you have to think you're invincible, that you're untouchable, that you couldn't possibly get injured or worse. And if you start to think like that, your confidence is going to be destroyed, and it's a confidence sport. You've got these guys, these 20 Formula One drivers, 22 next year, walking around with their shoulders back, and they rely on confidence. It's everything. So that was the first time, I think, in my career where I thought, far out, like that's pretty close to really hurting myself. And I ended up in an emergency room and skin grafts and burnt my face quite badly. And the first time I'd realised I'm not invincible. I am human and I can get hurt, and I could have lost my life in this incident.
Wow. So
I started to take my own safety a lot more seriously, and I started doing some work with Confederation of Australian Motorsport at the time, now Motorsport Australia, being more of an advocate for safety, encouraging people at grassroots level to wear the appropriate attire and get a frontal head restraint or whatever it might be, buy a proper helmet and things like that.
Was that not regulation back then, or?
It was pretty, I think it was looser at a grassroots level. At a professional level, it was all mandated, but they were trying to encourage people I think they did some studies, and most of the injuries that were occurring in the sport were not so much at a professional level. It was at the entry level of motorsport. So they were encouraging, and they got me on board with the position that I was in and everything that I'd been through to just be an advocate for personal safety in motorsport. And that led to a unique role in Motorsport Australia, where I was the high performance manager, which I like the Oscar hat, and think I've got my own Oscar hat down here. It's where I'm going on a tangent here. I reckon we're going to go on a couple of tangents.
We love a tangent.
We love a tangent.
I ran the high performance program for Motorsport Australia off the back of that. And this is one of those moments where I thought, I don't think I'm qualified to take on this role, but I'm going to bloody give it a red hot go. So
I fake it till you make it. You can't really fake it, but
Yeah, something like that.
Fake driving.
Fake the confidence.
Yes. So I gave it a go, and I put together this program, and this was the first time I'd had involvement with Oscar. He would have been 2014. So how old would Oscar have
He's
been there?
23 or 24 now. So what, we're
10 years ago.
25.
Yeah, he would have been
13.
like 12 or 13 years
Yeah.
old. He was just in go-karts. And I'm going to share it anyway, but I don't know. I don't think he would mind, but we did psych testing on all these young drivers. We had 24 young drivers in our program. It was like talent identification. We had the most incredible sports psychologist who worked in Olympic sports, and she was involved in a lot of Olympic gold medals as a psychologist. So she was incredible. And after all this psych testing we did, she came back and said, Karl, if there's one driver out of the 24 that stands out above everyone else, I'm like goosebumps thinking about it.
I was just thinking that.
Forget about this 23. They're all talented, don't get me wrong. But if you had a finite amount of money to invest, you would only invest it in this one kid, and it was Oscar. He was off the charts. And
You know what's wild?
Go on.
Nicole told me that story a couple months ago. I don't know if you were there.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was amazing. He was
And
off the
she
charts.
she must have mentioned you, and I didn't realise that was
You.
So I was involved
There
in
you
that
go.
program, and to think, 11 years later,
Yeah.
he's on the verge of, well, it's controversial at the moment. We'll get to that as well, I'm sure.
We have to talk about that later.
We'll get there. But yeah, you can measure problem-solving ability. You can measure resilience. You can measure grit. All these things are like quantifiable, and we did all that. And he was just off the charts, like emotional intelligence. He's such an intelligent. And you look all season how unfazed he's been, and the pressure that he's been under and handled so well. Up until Baku, he just didn't make a single mistake. Baku was the first time, I think, in his entire career that we'd actually seen a genuine
Emotion.
emotion and a mistake from him. So,
Well, we also, I don't know if you observed this, but I did, because I love looking into this side of things as well. And I spoke to a few psychologists about it. Oscar was always the one coming out in front. If they were doing any media, he would walk out first. He would speak first. It was almost like
Subtle.
the psychology, subtle things of to position him. I don't know if it was McLaren at the time also saying, Oscar, you go first, blah, 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 because he was winning. So they were choosing him as the number one driver at that point. But now I've noticed switched.
It switched. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yep.
It's very perceptive of you, firstly. I think...
Or creepy.
or creepy. I don't know. Let's go perceptive, I reckon. Maybe I'm getting to know you. Maybe you are. I don't know.
A weirdo.
you tell me.
She's not.
Conversation for another day. I think with Mark as his manager, who's an absolute gun, probably the best person you could have in your corner going into bat for you.
And
He's
Emma
been
Murray.
there, done that. Sorry?
And Emma Murray.
Yes, yeah. It's but yeah, I just don't know what's going on there. And I've missed the last couple of races. So I do roughly 50% of the races in the season. It's been actually 14 out of the 24 this year once I finish up in Abu Dhabi. I did the first 9 races of the season, which was exhausting. I don't know how Burnt does 24. He's got young kids as well, 2 7-year-old boys at home. And I don't know when he sees them. He's just on the road.
Sorry to interrupt, but where is he from?
He's German. He's based
German.
just out of Stuttgart.
Okay.
Okay,
We
so
actually
it's a bit easier for him then to
It's
go.
much easier for the European Grand Prix, but for
gets heavy
the rest
this
of the
side of
world.
the year.
But he's a glutton for punishment. He's so busy. He's so entrepreneurial. He's got his own wine brand, which he's always actively promoting. And on a Grand Prix weekend, if he's not in the safety car, he's up doing Paddock Club, doing appearances and what have you. And he's obviously got a very close relationship with both AMG and Aston Martin, the 2 brands that we use. So he gets fidgety. He's one of those guys like, he must be ADHD or something.
Yeah.
We're all a little bit ADHD.
Yeah, we're all a bit like that.
If he's not doing something, he's like, all right, I need to organise something in. Like in January, that's his downtime to spend with his family. And he's probably in Sweden with AMG doing, ice driving as an ambassador. So
cool. We did meet him when I was pregnant that year.
That's
And we
right.
did the grid walk for F2, I think.
he's a hoot. He's such a funny guy.
Yeah.
You've got to get, in fact, we got to get him on the podcast.
We would
But
love to have him on.
Yeah, GP
I would love to
Prime.
join. He needs to write a
We
book.
do it. Well, let's do a duo episode.
He needs to write a book, that guy. He's lived a pretty spectacular life.
Yeah.
He's got some incredible stories.
On that, because you also mentioned he's got quite a big following. He also does a lot of different things.
Yeah.
He's a safety car driver as well. Do you ever feel pressure yourself coming from racing yourself and now having this very important position to grow your own social profile and be doing more, or is it hard because you are so happy being a dad as well? Like, is it like balancing everything would be so tricky?
There's a lot of factors in this. Yes, I can see that there is an incredible opportunity. I look at what Bernt's doing, and part of me is like, oh, there's an opportunity potentially for me.
Because it could help grow something after this.
Exactly right. So there's that. But also the difference between what Bernt's doing and what we're doing, it's the medical side of things.
Yeah.
And there's some sensitivities around that as well. The FIA is quite strict. Everything needs to be, we need to basically go through the FIA media department if we're, before we post something about the car, let's say. But at the same time, I think that the FIA and their media department is becoming a bit more, progressive with things like that. They can see the opportunity and like, why aren't we, there's an amazing story to tell here. Yeah. There's no cameras in our car, for example. There was no cameras on our car. I mean, the relationship between Formula One and the FIA is obviously an important one. We now have a camera on our roof for the first time ever. So when we get to the scene of an incident, it's this incredible vantage point. So, and you might have seen, I don't know, there's a couple of things I posted earlier this year on board. Like I've got a helmet camera that I use on the odd occasion, which is internal for our ability to kind of review incidents and this constant strive to be better and improve. But some of the media department have seen it and gone, this is incredible. We need to like share some of this footage and show people like you're the quiet achievers, but there's this amazing story that can be told about what goes on behind the scenes and the protocols and everything. So
people love that behind the scenes. Yeah. There's the ambulance show here in Australia.
Oh, how good is
what's
it?
that called?
It's so entertaining.
It's called Paramedics.
Paramedics or something like that. Yeah, I know the one.
It's literally what it is, but
what we do on steroids.
Yeah.
So, and then there's just juggling life in general. So I run a business here out of Melbourne. I'm just trying to be a good dad and be present when I am home. So it's this juggle.
And going to bounce
and straining my back.
Which is a trampoline centre for anyone international listeners outside of Melbourne.
So it's a juggle, and I have moments where I want to take it on and I'm more active, and then other times I'm like, I'm just going to steer clear of it. So I don't know. I'll reevaluate for 2026.
Yeah.
I want to circle back.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to your career in motorsports.
Yes.
So you were driving an F3. How did you get to that point?
So right back to karting.
And then how did you get into your job?
Loved the sport, and it was all about fun. And then we started taking it a bit more seriously. When I was in high school, I was spending more time traveling interstate. And then I started testing cars. Like I wasn't old enough to get a license. I would have been maybe 14 at the time. But I started doing some test days in a Formula Ford. And then I think at 16 I was testing a Formula 3. So I didn't even have a driver's license on the road, and I'm driving cars around track at
whenever we've spoken to Joanne Seconti or Evan Agostia, who are
great
Formula
people.
One Academy drivers from Australia.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait, you guys don't have your license?
Yeah.
Like Ava's like, yeah, maybe I might get it in Melbourne later this year, but she's like, I can't be bothered learning hook turns.
Yeah.
It's like, fair.
It's so true. That's a really good point. I still struggle with hook turns.
She was like, also that book that you have to fill out.
Yeah, she's like, all those hours driving.
Is it 120 hours now?
I think it's 180 and you have to log all the hours. It's like, imagine how many hours. Anyway, sorry, tangent.
I wouldn't do it if I had to do it again. So kind of made the shift from karting to cars, and then started competing in the Australian F3 Championship. Did that for 2 years. Got the Rookie of the Year award, which was really something I was very proud of at the time, still proud of course. And then won the Australian Championship. Went over to race. So I won an Australian Championship. I thought, I'm getting pretty good at this. I'm not good at pumping my own tires up, but I was thinking at the time, I've got an opportunity here. I love Formula One. Maybe we go overseas and have a crack at it. And I'd also had that accident where I broke my back in 2003. So I'd also been through a bit of adversity and bounced back from it. I thought if I can get through that, I can just about get through anything. I couldn't move much for basically 3 months while it healed. And I'm a little bit shorter now as well. It was a compression fracture. Used to joke around that I used to be 6 foot. Now I'm only 5'11". But anyway, terrible joke, dad joke.
We miss you in the 6 foot club.
Yeah,
it's all right. I've got 2 inches on you. I'll take it for you. It's fine.
So at the end of 2004, I won the championship, and they had this race called the F3 Super Prix when Bahrain first opened. It was the very first event at Bahrain, and it was kind of like an unofficial junior world championship. I was racing against Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton.
Wow.
A few of the other F1 drivers. I think Grosjean was there. Alex Primat, who raced in I think Nakajima was there as well. There were probably 7 or 8 guys that went on to compete in Formula One, and I was out of my depth. I ended up finishing with about 30 drivers, and I finished 13th in the end, so roughly halfway. But I went over there full of confidence, full of beans, thinking I'm going to go over there and show these guys what Aussies are made of, and just got demoralised. And it didn't deter me. I think that's one of the key things. There's one thing I've learned out of the sport that I'll take with me with whatever I do in life. If you love something enough, you'll find a way to make it work. The passion for me is a really important part of figuring it out. I think dealing with the shitty situations that arise, if you love it, you're going to find a way to get through it. So, yeah. So I went up. We scrounged together. We didn't have a lot of funding, but we scrounged together some money to go and do the British F3 Championship. So I was racing against Nelson Piquet Jr. won the championship that year, and a few guys that went on to race in IndyCar. And yeah, it was probably the most competitive national junior championship in the world. Daniel Ricciardo raced a couple of years after me. I grew up with Daniel in WA.
I was going to say that before.
Yeah.
When you said you were racing around everywhere in WA, I was like, surely you guys were on a dirt path somewhere.
No, Ricardo's pretty well. Joe and Grace, his parents and his sister, and my brother is the same age as Daniel, and they actually competed against each other, but we're always at the same circuits, at the same events all the time. So I grew up getting to know Daniel and his family quite well. So there's a few of the guys on the grid that I've got to know quite well over the years. Not all of them, and frankly, I'd rather not. I'd rather just keep it professional. And I'll talk about the incident with Zhou Guanyu at Silverstone in 2022.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
While we're on it,
you were there.
I was the first on the scene because there were three drivers involved. There was George, Alex, Albin, and Zhou, and so many tangents here. We have all this telemetry in our car, information from the F1 cars. It helps us make better decisions. So we get the accelerometer data, so how many Gs the accident was, and it pops up on our screen automatically live as it happens.
And then your team in the car can decide.
We sort of, it helps us to kind of triage where we go to, who we go to first. And it was actually Alex that because he came across and hit the pit wall head on. So it was a pretty substantial hit, and probably some questions around concussion for him at the time. So we actually went to Alex first. George was okay. And we were told over the radio there was a third car. And we, where's the third car? We literally, because all you see, and I wish I could show you my vantage point in the car, because all of this is unfolding in front of you. There's smoke, there's sparks, there's all sorts of debris that you're kind of dealing with. There's this sensory overload, and you're just trying to comprehend.
It's like a war zone.
It is literally like a war zone. And you're making sense of it, trying to make really quick and good decisions. We got there, we got to Alex, and meanwhile, I've realised that there's a car on the other side of the barrier. We're on the radio at this point. The reason I raise this now is I was talking to Zhou on the grid 10 minutes before, having a friendly conversation with him, and now we're trying to extricate him from this car, and we don't know if he's okay. And I thought that day, I don't really want to have any sort of personal relationships with these guys. Imagine being a paramedic and turning up at, your uncle or your auntie's house or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that.
So I don't want that. So I'm friendly with them, polite. They appreciate the job that we do. I've got so much respect for what they do. But outside of the existing relationships that I've got with the Aussies and the Kiwis, basically, I I've known Liam since he was, I think, 14 or 15. So I know Liam really well. Daniel. Oscar I've got to know a little bit better, I guess, through Mark and just being an Aussie. I've shared a few plane trips with Oscar's parents before.
Aussies tend to...
We stick together, right? But
you can't get rid of us.
I've got to treat the job
as a job.
Yeah.
as a job.
Because do the drivers ever treat you differently? Especially as someone that has come from the sport themselves and someone that wanted to be an F1 driver.
I think they have respect for what we do. As I said before we started chatting, yes, you see the best and worst of these guys. Some of them are hugely professional. I use the example of Lewis in Monaco 2 years ago where he crashed in FP3. We've picked him up. He's in the car and there's no emotion, no anger. And I actually asked him the question. I said, you don't seem particularly phased or upset about what just happened. It took a bit of courage to ask him. He said, no, but what can I do? Like, it's done. I can't undo what's happened. All I can do is focus forward on the job I need to do, supporting the team and getting the car ready in time for qualifying, which is critical because it's Monaco. I was blown away at that level of professionalism from him.
Wow.
And then other times, as I said before, it's the last opportunity before they're public facing to kind of like vent and let it out. And I've seen some pretty crazy things from some of them. I won't name names, but like yelling, hitting the roll cage and just letting it all out. It's an emotional sport at times, and the pressure that these guys are under. Some of them can be a bit rude, but at the same time, I don't hold it against them because I know that they're under so much pressure, and when they're in that car, they don't probably mean to be. It's just they're just angry and they're just letting it out in different ways. So I'm tolerant of it, and at the end of the day, as long as it doesn't affect my ability to do my job, then
do you have to do mental training to actually sort of deal with that, like sort of mental coaching? I don't know what you would call it.
Just the background in competing in motorsport, and you're always your own biggest critic at the end. No matter how much pressure you're under, and there is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Our lap times are recorded as well. Our performance is measured and quantified, and if we don't perform, they ask us questions. So there's a huge amount of pressure from the FIA. Everything we do, every little detail. I'll never forget the Australian Grand Prix 2022. I need to slow down a bit. There's like 1,000,001 things to talk about.
Be here for days.
Yeah, no, go for it. You just keep talking and then we'll just plot in along.
So the Wednesday afternoon, I get the whole track, well, not quite to myself. I've got to share with Burnt, but I've got Albert Park to myself, which is a novelty as a Melburnian. I call myself a Melburnian now after 14 years.
But also after we didn't have the Grand Prix for 3 years.
Oh, exactly.
So there was a big moment for the country.
I've got an hour exclusively and Burnt on the track.
Yeah.
And I've gone out there, and at the time I had this French guy, Gwen, who was the radio communicator from the FIA in race control, a really good operator. I think he works in WEC now. And I thought, I've got the whole track to myself. They're not going to worry about white lines and things like that, track limits. And I'll never forget leaving pit exit, and you've got that long blend line at the Australian Grand Prix before the first corner. And I thought, it'll be all right. I kind of crept over it. I get a radio call through. I'm not going to try and put on a French accent, but Gwen basically said, that's a penalty for you, Karl. We saw you cross the line. You owe us a round of beers at the pub on Sunday.
I was going to ask what the penalty is, but that's not bad.
When he said you've got a penalty, I thought, oh my gosh, it's my first day on the job and I've messed up.
Yeah.
And but they see absolutely everything. Yeah. And there's been a few times where like I've hit a curb a bit aggressively because it's my chance to explore the track from a performance perspective, but also figuring out the shortcuts. If I can make up 2 seconds here, there, and everywhere, I'll grab. It's a cliche, but if ever the cliche was appropriate, it's for what we do in every second counts.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think people knew this about this job. I mean, I certainly didn't know this.
Because do you train as like sim race training as well to learn the tracks prior as well?
So we're expected to know the track. So let's talk about that. For us, how a weekend starts, we get shared a lot of information, PDF documents, track maps. We're expected to know the circuit, every corner number, where all the shortcuts are around the track as well. Albert Park's a unique one. Unless we had the James Bond version, there's no way we could cross the lake. But a lot of the circuits we go to, there's little shortcuts that we can take, so you need to know at any given point on track, what is the fastest way from there to the medical centre.
Yep.
And Albert Park there are little shortcuts still, like
the tunnels.
There's some infield sections, but really it's like just cutting chicanes and things like that.
Yeah.
So out the back, you've got near the golf course, turn 10, 11, I think it is, or is it 9, 10 now?
It's 9, 10.
Yeah.
It's where
It was
the
11.
Mercedes AMG lounge is.
Yes, exactly
And
right.
the grandstand.
So I'll just cut through there.
Yeah.
I'll save 2 or 3 seconds by cutting that little section. Monaco, I cut the first corner, but then the rest of it, you just got to follow it around because it's Armco everywhere. Although the chicane out the back where all the boats are, I just straight line that. So you can make up a lot of time. So we get the information prior to the weekend. We do a track walk every time. Yeah. So next week I'm off to Qatar, to Doha, and it'll be 40-degree day, no doubt. And we walk the track.
I was going to say, how do you manage the heat in the car?
So you manage. I feel like an athlete still in terms of I've got to manage my own well-being and health and my own hydration and all that sort of stuff. I've got to be sharp. I've got to make good decisions. And people ask me what I miss about competing in motorsport, and it's not driving cars fast. It's the intensity of it for me. It's this sensory overload that you're trying to make sense of. And there's, for me, again, self-diagnosed, but pretty sure I've got ADHD. There's a calmness for me in that environment where there's so much happening. There's visual stimulation. You've got all these different things. It's like a war zone, as you mentioned before. Baku, we covered F2 and F3 as well. Baku, a couple of years ago, last year, there was a huge pile-up at the start, and there's carbon fibre everywhere. There's a car flipped upside down over here. There's a car on fire over there. There's a guy trying to self-extricate out of the car. And for me, my heart rate's probably sitting at about 60 beats per minute in this moment. Just kind of taking it all in, processing it, and then where do we go to first? I checked my rear vision mirror and there was a fire truck on the way. So, okay, they're going to deal with the fire over here. This guy over here is self-extricating, but the guy over there, upside down, he's not moved yet. So I have to protect our car. So I'm sort of navigating my way through the debris, all the carbon fibre. We pull up. I have to position the car safely, of course, to protect the scene and the doctors if there are cars still circulating. In this instance, it was a red flag. But there's this weird calmness that I get in that situation. And that's what I miss. I get the same kick out of this role for the information processing that I did from professional motorsport, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
When I always think this about anyone that works in the paramedic field or firefighters or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Even surgeons, pediatric surgeons, they make a living off disaster. How do you comprehend that in your brain? Like, you're not on track doing something until there's an accident.
It's hard to rationalize that when the other things you don't learn unless you're doing your job.
Yeah.
We do simulations. So I think you asked the question before, what practice we do. I'll get back to talking through a weekend, but we do a simulation exercise on a Friday morning where we go out there and we do it's as much for the locals as it is for us, because some places we go to, they're not practicing motorsport. In Australia, the marshals we have are some of the best in the world because they're practicing every other week at supercar races and down at Phillip Island, and there's all sorts of events going on. But at the Canadian Grand Prix, they do one event a year. That's it. So it's as much for them as it is for us and our own protocols. So we have a race control, we'll pick a corner and we have a car that goes out there, a pretend car with an injured driver, and we run through all of it, communication protocols where we bring in the extrication team, ambulances, fire, everything, and we run through it all on a Friday morning. So that's the practice that we typically get prior to a weekend. But outside of that simulation, it is just a simulation. So if I go through we had a triple header earlier in the year. I did Imola, Monaco, Barcelona, 3 weekends straight. And we had some red flags. There was a triple that we did. I did another triple as well. Where basically I did 3 weekends straight, F1, F2, F3, not a single incident for 3 weekends straight.
Mm.
And like we always say, a boring weekend
Is
a safe weekend, is a successful weekend. But I'm not learning. We're not progressing as a team. So it's funny, like selfishly, you want a little bit of action, but you don't want anyone to get hurt.
We say that all the time. We're like, what a boring race. Nothing happened. And you're like,
awful, like moral predicament that you find yourself in.
Yeah.
Where in a perfect world, you want to go through 24 F1 races and no crashes, no injuries, no deployments. That's about as successful year as you can have in the medical car. The reality is obviously different. We're going to have deployments. Some places are worse than others. The old school circuits and the street circuits seems to happen a bit more. It is what it is. I take it in my stride when there is the opportunity to learn. And off the back of every incident that happens, whether it was a minor one where it feels more like just an Uber collection, we just pick a driver up and take them back to the pit lane, or something more serious.
5 stars.
Yeah, thank you. we do joke around about that.
5 stars.
You got to enjoy yourself, right?
Like, please give me a rating, Lewis.
Yeah, we do joke around about that sort of stuff. There's such a trust within that car as well. There's 3 different doctors that we have, and then I share the role with this guy called Bruno, who I felt like I knew him really well. I felt like a brother in some regards because we're sharing the same car. But for the better part of 2.5 years, we'd never actually met in person because we were all just ships in the night. If he was at a race, I wasn't there, and vice versa. But we were always comparing notes and always, reviewing incidents that take place and making little iterations and adjustments to what we do in our protocol to try and just be continually better.
So you were saying there's 3 doctors in the car and yourself?
So there's 3 doctors that work for the FIA that sit up front with me.
Yep.
So I'm left-hand drive car. There's 2 drivers of the medical car. There's myself and Bruno.
Yep.
We share the role. I've done 14 races this year. He'll do 10. Next year, I think we're back to 12 and 12. But then there's an FIA doctor who sits in the passenger seat up the front. They understand all the FIA protocols, the communication. They're effectively my communicator when I'm hustling around the track at setting my own purple sectors. And he's got all the information on the screens. We've got GPS location of all the cars on track. So there's a genuine risk that if we're not fast enough, we could get lapped on that first lap of the race. So he's given me a position of where the leader is. Because sometimes we'll slow down to have a look at a driver that's had an accident or spun out. We'll do a quick assessment. They're okay. We're going to forge ahead. And I need to know where the leader is because if we slow down a couple of times, I might need to take an escape road. I'm not going to get back to my position in pit lane where I would typically wait throughout a race. So there's 3 doctors that fill that role. There's a Hungarian doctor, Laszlo, they're all legends. They're all great people.
I love that name.
Laszlo, yeah, it's a great name. An American Dr. James and Dr. Ian Roberts, who has done it for the last, I think, 11 seasons. Wow. And he's just a huge amount of like the wealth of knowledge. And
isn't that amazing if you're a doctor and you bring your 2 worlds together?
Yeah. Yeah, they love it. So Laszlo was an ex-helicopter doctor. So those guys are perfect for it. A lot of the doctors that we have in the back of the car, which I'll get to in a second, they're sort of presented to us as the most credible, the best doctor for the role. But sitting in a high-performance road car with 700 horsepower, going around a track at some circuits we go, Baku, we're doing 270 kilometres an hour in that thing. It's pretty nerve-wracking sitting in the back of that car.
Are they fit enough as well?
Are they fit enough? And we've had a few doctors in the past that have jumped in that seat, done a few practice runs and said, you know what? I thought I was going to be cut out for this and I'm not.
Yeah.
But you're also not in the sterile environment of an emergency department at a hospital or, sometimes we get anaesthetists and other, other types of doctors. But the helicopter doctors, they're used to being dropped into a remote location. It could be like a truck accident on a highway, and it's a non-sterile environment. They've got finite amount of tools at their disposal, so they're really well equipped to take on that role. So I think both James and Laszlo have a background of helicopter. I think it's called HEMS. Is the sort of the acronym for it. But yeah, they're the relationship that I have with those guys and the trust and the communication is so important, and it feels like such a sense of team that we have at the moment. So when we're driving around for that first lap, they are my spotter. They're providing information, they're communicating. If I see debris on the road, I'll report back to race control so they can let marshals know or teams know if there's debris on the track, if it needs to be collected or picked up. But then when we get to the scene of an incident, I become their lackey. I'm there to help them out in whatever way, shape or form I can, whether it's providing the equipment out of the back of the car and it's fully loaded with,
I was going to ask
we've got protective equipment for ourselves. We have to look after ourselves first and foremost. We've got fire extinguishers. We have Jaws of Life, which can cut through Armco and it'll even cut through the titanium halo of the cars as well.
Oh, really? Wow.
You never want to be in a position to have to use that, but it's there just in case. And then all the medical equipment. The local doctor provides the drugs that they take. Everywhere you go, it's difference of jurisdiction and rules and regulations. So the doctors can't be taking drugs around the world, of course, morphine or whatever. Yeah. So there's
I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
You'd have to
have a local.
So we always have a local doctor, and a big part of the reason for that is Laszlo being Hungarian, James being American, and Ian being British. Outside of where their license to practice medicine is, they're legally not allowed to practice medicine in some of these countries. So we have to have a local, but along with that local doctor, they become the conduit, I guess, between the FIA and the local system. So they speak the local tongue, whatever the local language is. They understand that whatever cultural differences there might be. They're just local cultural understanding, for want of a better term.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah, but they've got existing relationships with the local system, the local hospital. They just know everything about it. But it's also the biggest variable for us as well, because you never really know how someone's going to behave in a critical incident until they're in a critical incident. And you do have the odd occasion where that doctor is a bit of a deer in the headlights, and you've got to kind of prod them to get out of the car. You're up. You've got a job to do.
They've just gone 270 k's an hour.
Yeah,
they're going.
I didn't sign up for
It's
this.
hard to criticize because it's such a foreign environment. But and like you say, we were talking about before, you get to the scene and it's not an emergency department with sterile floors and everything at arm's length, with nurses and everything there. It's you arriving on the scene. You've got a kit bag. There's fire, there's noise, there's cars going past you. Talking about the George Russell incident at Albert Park.
Which if you didn't see, guys, if you head to my Instagram, LBLU, you will see
reenacted it.
reenactment, which Karl asked me to do.
I'm so impressed you did that. Braver than I am. So we turned up at that incident.
Yeah.
We're talking about when George flipped his car on the second last lap of the Australian Grand Prix 2 years ago, I think it was, 2023.
2023 on the side.
Yeah. And he was feeling pretty vulnerable. And we turn up, I jumped out of the car and it was a double yellow through there. But the Formula Ones they're still going past us. It's a live track. I'm from me to you away from cars that they're going slow, but their slow is, they're doing 180 kilometres an hour past me from this distance away. So every decision you make is an important one.
Did you say the other week, where
in Mexico,
was it?
the marshals that ran onto the, did you see that?
That was pretty full on.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because before when you were talking about marshals and I was thinking perhaps that's the only race that they're doing in that season, because that was, I mean, I'm half Venezuelan, so I know how sometimes things can work in Latin America, and I just thought, of course, why am I not surprised?
So you talk about locals. In Australia, the standard is very high because they're practicing regularly. but everywhere you go, it's not like the FIA and Formula One bring the entire, precinct's worth of personnel. You have to rely on volunteers, and the relationship that the FIA has with the local governing body in Australia, it's Motorsport Australia. It's really important, but then they control a lot of the aspects of, sending a marshal out onto a track. So it's pretty full on. There's so many variables in the sport, which is kind of what makes it interesting in a lot of ways. But at the same time, you don't want to see anyone get hurt, especially volunteers. We don't want to see anyone get hurt.
Of course.
On track. So that was
questionable.
A closer call. And I don't know the details behind it because I missed that race. But for me on the outside looking in, we've got a little group chat and they didn't even discuss it on the group chat. But yeah, it looked like a close call to me.
The worst part about it was afterwards they doubled down and said it was Liam's fault.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes. They said he was driving so fast.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's odd.
But like you said, so many moving parts and it does keep it entertaining. And at least, thankfully no one was hurt, so we can laugh about it and hopefully it's a learning. Hopefully that was a learning for next time. But can we circle back to Zhou Guanyu?
Yes, yeah.
And in that instance, so I guess this is kind of a double-sided question where, you are, like, as they say, the world's fastest ambulance driver.
Yeah.
Do you have basic medical training? And in an instance where it is like a war zone and there is so much going on, you were saying you sort of help take things out. Are you in a way doing some sort of…
Are you allowed to?
Yeah.
So there's things, basic first aid training and that's it. When I mentioned the medical car, talking about that environment at a school function or something like that, the first question I usually get asked is, are you a doctor? I'm like, no, I'm not actually a doctor, but I've got doctors with me. There are teams of people for certain things that we have a proper extrication team, but something that we do practice, we talk about it, and I hope I never find myself in this position, is what we call a rapid extrication, where it is literally life or death, not to sound dramatic, but we can't afford to wait for the extrication team to arrive. So it's almost ignoring the potential for spinal injury. It's just we need to get this driver out of this car as quickly as possible. I think the last time that came to light was probably Grosjean's accident in 21.
Yeah.
He ended up self-extricating. He got out of the car himself, which is mind-blowing. And talking,
again.
Well, for me, it was really close to home because the injuries that he had were the same injuries I had when I caught on fire. And you talk to the doctors that I wasn't there. It was Alan, my predecessor, who's a really good mate of mine. They felt helpless because you have to look after yourself in that situation, but they couldn't get close enough to help him. And there was a point that they reached where they just felt helpless. Like there's nothing more that there's nothing more that we can do. And he got out. His foot got stuck behind the pedals, and he couldn't actually get his foot out. And he ended up somehow. You've seen the race boots that the F1 drivers wear, and they wear them tight because you need feel. Feel is everything when you're in a car. That's why the gloves are quite tight, and any connection to the car is important in how the car communicates to you. Somehow he dragged his foot out of his boot. He must have yanked it so hard, the adrenaline, and got out of that car just in time. But so there are times where I would need to help out with a rapid extrication. Like Jack Doohan's accident at Suzuka earlier this year.
Yeah.
That was quite a big one with the DRS. I'm not going to say failure, the drama.
Yeah.
DRS drama.
Yeah.
Don't start any rumours, Karl.
Well, I think he thought it was supposed to close automatically.
Yeah.
But they're doing turn 1 at Suzuka flat now, which is ridiculous. Like it blows my mind that how fast
I
that
forgot
corner
about
is.
that.
Oh, so
I forgot about that.
because I was just thinking about the accident, the DRS accident the other week.
Oh, yeah, because that was
my gosh, of
Portoletto.
course.
Yeah.
His DRS was still open, wasn't it?
That was an
poor
insane
thing.
accident.
That was crazy. That was a
very
big number as
fast.
well.
Yeah.
They
He
walked
hit it.
away from. The cars are so robust now.
Also-
I can't believe what they walk away from.
And also the fact that they rebuilt it.
Yeah, it looked like there's that one photo that's been doing the rounds where it just looks like this mangled. It looks like
Doesn't look like a car.
squash bug basically. And there's this driver. You see this little helmet in there. in this little cocoon, somehow safe. It blows my mind that they can walk away from something like that. And rattled in the moment, but somehow, they talk about psychology, find it in themselves to go back out there the next session or the next day, whatever's soonest, and just get on with the job. They're warriors, those guys. What they do, they don't get the credit they deserve, I think, for what they do. I think programs like Drive to Survive have really shone a light on the sport for what it is, the personalities, but it's one of those sports that people don't, people play soccer and football in Australia and rugby and other things so people can relate to it, but it's difficult to relate to Formula One. So it's easy to be ignorant about what they do, but they are genuinely hardcore athletes. They are some of the fittest athletes on the planet with what they have to.
We talk about it all the time as well, that they could have a triple header, for example. They arrive on the Monday, Tuesday in the country, and by Tuesday night they have media commitments all the way up until Sunday morning when they do race. Yeah. And it's just nonstop. And then they've got a race, they've got throw in a sprint weekend, all of that sort of stuff. Like, you know, that's just madness. But then you think about an AFL player here and they're like, oh my God, pay me more. Like, oh, wow, you did like an hour and a half on the footy field and you're refusing to do media commitments because 24 hours beforehand you need to.
The media thing, I think a lot of other athletes struggle. I remember I was talking to someone when I was still competing in supercars. They couldn't believe that we were required to be in like corporate box 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before a qualifying session. So you're up there and smiling and shaking hands and doing all the things that you kind of feel compelled and obliged to do because of the money that's involved in the sport. And then 10 minutes later, you are hanging it on the line, risking life and limb in a qualifying session. The ability to kind of flick that switch, a lot of the Olympic athletes, again, going back to the conversation about the sports psychologist, she couldn't believe our sport that there was not, in most Olympic sports, you would have a full media ban more than 24 hours before competition. It wasn't until after competition that you were allowed to have a conversation with the journalist. For us, we could be having hard conversations, being put on the spot by someone, and then you're in the car.
Or you got Martin Brundle running around on the Grid Prix trying to catch everyone down.
Exactly right. So it's a unique sport in that regard, but then the physicality of it now, before they go to the media pen after the race, they all hide in the FIA garage with their performance managers. There's those guys that shadow them throughout their entire race weekend, looking after their anything that pertains to performance. They kind of oversee and manage. So they're in there, and some of the races we go to, I think the three that stand out for me has been the most physical, the hot ones. So Singapore, Qatar.
Last year.
Yeah, it was shocking. And Baku as well. And talk about being a war zone on track at an accident. It's like a war zone in that FIA garage. They're all laying on the ground, water all over them, and not many people get to see that part of it and how hard it is. And then they've got to suck it up, put a branded shirt on, and then go and talk to the media immediately after that. I don't know how they do it.
I remember last year when multiple drivers were vomiting into their helmets whilst they were racing.
Yeah.
And then I think Logan Sargent pulled out of the race when he was racing, and there was so much criticism. And I was like, no. Are you serious? This is, I got very, my mum mode came into it, and I was like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
And then so many people were responding to us saying, but it's their job and they should do that. And I'm like, yes, it is their job, and yes, they are trained, but there are certain elements of it that come into play that are external elements like weather that there needs to be a little bit more regulation around that, because even, tennis players, they'll go out and play in 50-degree weather, and there comes a point where I think sometimes they close the roof, or there's certain things that can be done. But that was, I think so many, like Oscar Piastri was basically passing out when he was back in that FIA room.
They were not in a good way.
Why I think it's very poor form that there's a sprint in Singapore next year.
Also, that was a triple header that weekend.
Yeah. Sprint in Singapore as well. That takes it out of them, the sprint race.
Yeah.
I like the sprint weekends. I like having two races.
Is it necessary though in Singapore when it's so hot and it's a tier one race?
Qatar's had the sprint race a couple of times as well. But again, that's the worst state, I think, the drivers that I've seen them in post-race at Qatar. Was it last year or the year before? Whatever it was.
Yeah, maybe in the year before.
I think it was the year before.
Yeah, it was the year
where
before.
it was really bad. Yeah.
For whatever reason that evening, because it's all under lights.
And it was the first year after Vegas. That's right,
Yeah.
because we're chatting to F1 journalist Luke Smith about it.
Yeah.
And it was first Vegas.
Yeah.
And it was
After all that fanfare and they're exhausted from racing at night and then going straight to Qatar.
Of course, because they had
also I always think this section right now, I mean, at least now, because I think that year there was also a triple header. It was Brazil, Vegas, Qatar. And I think obviously they've changed that now, but I was like, Qatar, Las Vegas, going from that time zone across, because it's always more taxing.
Yeah.
I was like, that was not, and especially because that year with Las Vegas as well, it was horrifically organised. Do you remember? And then they were doing quali at 2:00 in the morning.
I haven't done a Vegas yet. I think I've got Vegas on my program next year. I was so excited for it. And I'm like, I think I've dodged a bullet here because they're up till 3:00 in the morning because of the delays and everything. And
it looked like COVID on the TV when we were watching.
Like
no one there.
They're in Nevada, of course, and like very union heavy over there.
Yeah.
So all the people supporting the Grand Prix, they got to a certain time and like, we've got to clock off.
Yeah.
So it was just a disaster. It got year 2 is always better. Miami was kind of the same in the first year.
True,
then year
Miami.
2, it was significantly better.
That's true.
I'm sure Madrid next year will be anyway.
Oh, we
I'm
will
excited.
talk about that.
Yeah.
But that is.
I also am very conscious of time and we could keep talking.
Oh my
There's,
gosh.
there's a couple more things that we have to quickly
100%.
discuss.
Yeah.
I would love to know, would you ever want to race again? And if so, where?
Good question. I weirdly haven't had a competition license since 2018. I don't actually I haven't needed a license.
Oh, do you not need a
license? Up until this year, this is very cool. I've been given a super license. I've got a Formula One super license this year.
Okay, big dog.
Sitting with someone with a super license, guys.
So if Lance Stroll happens to trip over and hurt himself, I'm ready to go.
Lawrence, I think you got someone that actually wants to race here.
It does have a point of difference. It does say something about a medical car in there, but
we just ignore that point.
The piece of paper does say super license.
Does that mean you can lose points off your super license as well if something happens?
For like crossing lines?
Yeah.
No, it's just a six
Just
pack
beers.
of
Okay,
exactly.
6 pack of beers.
On the Sunday night.
So pretty much you have like the best super license out of all the drivers because you don't have penalties.
I don't have penalties. I'm above the law.
I was thinking that when you were saying when you're sitting at the back before a race and you're looking at all the F1 cars, you're probably thinking, technically, I'm above you all.
Yeah, you are.
Technically,
in the moment, I can assure you I'm not thinking that, but no, it's...
I'm going to be looking out for that end of the year and be like, that's the
I
boss.
can't get a penalty. I can't get a penalty, but you can.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of like quite a power move.
It is, isn't it? I haven't thought about it like that. It was pretty neat to get it. I didn't realize it was happening, but they wanted to do it because it's like insurance associated with a super license as well. But the cost of a super license for the F1 drivers is based on their previous year's championship points. I haven't had to pay for it, thankfully, and I've got 0 championship points anyway.
See, this is what you literally have the best super license out of anyone.
Exactly.
There's 22 drivers with an amazing super license, but then there's you.
And there's your super license.
So it's so back to your question about whether I'd go and race again. I do miss parts of racing. My brother started racing again last year in a local championship in Australia, and he loves it. And he keeps saying, I wouldn't want to race professionally, but I love the idea of racing with my brother. To do some sort of endurance race would be super fun.
I was going to say, would you go to Bathurst and even just tag in as that second driver?
Yeah, it's always fun. Bathurst, there's something really special. It's one of the best circuits, hands down, on the planet. And I get to go to... I can't believe all these amazing circuits that I get to go to. I was at Spa earlier in the year, which there's something really magical about that place. And Erie as well. There's something like you're through the
low
forest
clouds, the low hanging clouds.
The low hanging clouds.
All the different
It's
ecosystems.
like the Addams Family cloud just sits right above. Because it's middle of summer in Europe and it's like you go to Spa.
I can just hear him laughing.
You go to Spa. You got
behind the...
It's back to back with Hungary, which is probably one of my favourite races on the entire calendar.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a race in Europe, come to Budapest. It's the best. I love
have
it.
said that. I did tell someone yesterday. You should
It's
do
great.
Budapest.
The Hungarian fans, they love it. It's a good round. But you got Hungary, which is 40 degrees in summer, and then you go to Spa a week later or a week prior, depending on the order, and it's like 14 degrees maximum and bucketing with rain all weekend. I don't know what it is. It's this little area of Belgium that just seems to cop it, but there's a lot of history in that area.
Yeah.
There are a lot of action in World War I, or was it World War II? I should know this. But you got these beautiful forests and the low cloud, as you say. But then that circuit has taken a lot of lives over the years as well. Yeah. So there's something kind of eerie about the place.
They call it hauntingly beautiful.
Hauntingly beautiful. I think that is the perfect summary.
Is what I've heard someone say on TV before. I do not.
I like that. I'm going to steal that, whoever it is.
I stole it from someone, so take it away.
It's yours now. Credit where credit's due.
It's mine. Yeah. Wow.
So I don't forget what the original question was.
If you go
would I go racing? I'd love to do something with my brother. I think that's the only reason I'd go back racing is with him. Just show my super license and overqualified.
I really hope you do an endurance race like that. What about? Would you ever train for something like Le Mans?
If I had my time again, and you make decisions with the information you have in the moment, I'd probably pursue a sports car career. I love the idea of endurance racing. I did a Daytona 24-hour in 2008. We finished, which was an achievement in itself. It's the only 24-hour race I've done, and I cannot tell you how much I loved it. It was like a choose-your-own-adventure sort of story. And the amount of things that happen over 24 hours that you get, you go to sleep, you can barely sleep because the adrenaline. You manage to get a couple of hours of sleep. You wake up and you check in with the team, like, what have I missed in the last 2 hours? Oh, you wouldn't believe this happened and we don't have a bonnet anymore, and it's crazy.
It's crazy. It's another world.
It's so much fun. So I'd love to do more sports car racing, but I'm quite content with what I did in the sport. I enjoyed supercars. It's one of the most competitive championships on the planet.
Well, we went to Bathurst 1000 this year.
You did?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was epic.
It's a different experience.
It was epic.
Did you go up the top?
Also, we thought we were like, it set the bar so high because it was such an epic race.
Yeah. Oh, it was such a good race, wasn't it?
But also who was it? The Red Bull driver that came in with his bonnet on his windscreen.
Yeah, I think it was Will Brown.
Will Brown.
Will Brown, that's right. And he was like looking out the window trying to drive through. It's a bit like...
So Will Brown was one of the kids at the time that we had in our high performance program.
Wow.
We identified him. So we did a good job of identifying young talent, but invest in Oscar, they said. Sorry, Will.
Will still.
Well, he's still
doing well.
He goes all
but
right.
Speaking of Oscar, we've got to finish up with what are we thinking for Vegas, Qatar? Because I've done a little bit of the math and the scenarios.
Yeah, I've seen some of the potential outcomes.
Yes.
So the championship can't be won.
It can't be won, but Lando could put his hand on that trophy but still not claim it. But also McLaren's in Vegas.
Great. Well, Lando had an accident there last year.
Yeah, it's not his favourite track.
No.
But neither Oscar or Lando. It's not a great track.
It doesn't suit
But the McLaren is a lot better than it was last year. There's so many variables. So I'd love to know your thoughts.
Well, I get the feeling at a certain point this year, McLaren thought we've got this in the bag. Let's shift our energy on the 2026 program to make sure we've got a good car. And everyone's sort of caught up. So the huge advantage that they had at the start of the season, I feel like has been closed. It's been bridged a little bit by a few of the teams. Ferrari have been strong recently in a couple of places, and Max is just an absolute freak. The way he can...
Brazil, one of his best races ever.
It was, wasn't it? From pit lane to...
And we hadn't seen that for a while with Max, and he's just a superhuman.
It was very Stephen Bradbury.
Yeah. Yeah, it was...
without the accidents. But,
without the accident.
And being just an amazing driver.
He's one of a kind. He's so talented. So Vegas, I get the feeling McLaren probably don't have, it's not a strong circuit for them. I don't think it's going to be a strong circuit for them this weekend. This weekend?
This weekend, Sunday,
It's triple, isn't it?
You should come to our watch party.
Yeah, we're Orang Hotel
Come
here.
in, I'm there.
Family friendly as well.
Family friendly. Bring the kids. 1:30. Have a good food. There is epic.
I live just down the road, so it's perfect.
Oh, great. We'll see you there.
Perfect.
And we have a sim as well, so you can prove everyone.
Oh, you should. You should be like, let me have a go, and then just.
I'm sort of like the old school guys. I never did the simulator thing.
It's not like it's an
my sim
it's an Xbox.
from home.
Yeah,
and
okay.
it's an Xbox.
We're not.
Perfect.
It's not a full setup.
That's another conversation entirely. Talking about the generation of Formula One drivers that have come from simulators versus the old school ones that haven't. Like I genuinely believe that Daniel Ricciardo was the only one that could have given Max a run for his money in the Red Bull last year.
Wow.
Because he was like he drives on feel, and that's what he struggled so much with in the McLaren when he eventually jumped into it. It felt like driving a simulator to drive. There's no feel. Whereas Max loves like the strong front end, and no one else seems to be able to drive it. So I'm gutted that we'll never know. But I swear
there will be a time. But it's hard because Daniel won't be as trained in the car anymore because he's taken this step back. But I think there needs to be a time where they just get the cars there on a track, Silverstone, whatever, and get them both in there and just having a go.
Yeah.
I remember when he scored the practice, the test lap.
Yes.
Do you remember Daniel Ricciardo doing that?
Where was that?
A year and a half ago.
I recall that. Was it at Silverstone? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. So
Vegas.
Vegas. I don't know who's going to be strong. I reckon the Ferraris might be quick there potentially because they've got the long straight. Then Qatar's always suited Oscar.
Yeah.
He won. I was there for his first sprint win 2 years ago, 2023, and he likes that circuit. So I think he'll be strong, but then you just don't know what's going on behind the scenes at the moment. You can't help but, not my place to say, but you can't help but question whether there's some sort of sabotage going on in the background, right?
And then there's also all the chatter as well.
It's so easy to get swept up in the drama, and especially what the community's built online.
Bit of Aussie bias over here as well.
Of course. I think I mean, we've spoken a lot about that. And there is a lot of emotion in it. And like I said last week on the episode, I was like, look, obviously it's frustrating. We all want Oscar to win, but we need to remember as well as Oscar, if he doesn't win this year, he will win a championship and he'll win multiple championships.
He will
and
win
he's
multiple.
Relatively new to F1 compared to, I mean, Lando's been in the sport since 2019. He started in 2023 in F1.
Yeah.
So if we look at it with that lens, think about how much he has achieved and how well he has done this season, and there's so much more in that tank. It's only the beginning for him.
If he doesn't win it this year, he will be a world champion. I'm confident in that. He is
absolutely
so talented. And what I like about Oscar at the moment, he's still on an upward trajectory. He's still getting better. Max is
in a league of his own.
He's in a league of his own. Honestly, he's the best driver, the greatest of all time, I think, at the moment. Talk about Senna and Schumacher and Lewis and Fangio and guys like that. I don't think any of those guys have been as well-rounded and accomplished as Max. And he's a really good guy as well.
Yeah. Gosh, there's so much to discuss. I feel like we need to have you on again.
We'll do the duo. We'll do the duo at OzGP.
We'll get burnt in.
Yeah.
He'll open up about a few stories. There'll be a few anonymous names, I think, with some of his stories, but yeah.
I was going to say,
it'd be a really funny one.
Do we want to do it?
This has been quite a serious one, but with Burnt,
we can do a funny one.
It'll be hilarious.
Do it after the OzGP. Maybe we do a recap episode if anything went wrong on the weekend.
Not on the Monday morning because we'll all be feeling a bit, because it's a public holiday next year on the Monday.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
It's Labor Day weekend.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't tell. So we have this, obviously we're not working like you are working, but we have a lot of commitments, and I think
every hour is accounted for.
It was over 20 commitments from the Monday to the Sunday, and we don't sleep, and there's like a lot of content creation within that and a lot of approvals and all of that.
Yeah.
We make it a point not to drink as well, and everyone's like, oh, it must be fun, you're partying all the time. I was like, no. You've got 1 week as someone in this space to shine.
In your backyard as well, I should say.
So you have to put your best foot forward. You are on the whole time. It is mentally exhausting.
And then you don't sleep because of a different kind of adrenaline.
Yeah.
And then Sunday night came round and I forgot who I was. You got
to let your hair down, right? It's a bit of balance. There's probably, I reckon, 3 races in the season where I will let my hair down. Yeah. Australian Grand Prix, Monaco, and Singapore. Singapore's always a good party on the Sunday night. Yeah. So, I'm surprised we didn't cross paths at some stage.
We probably did.
I probably wouldn't have remembered either.
No. Someone sent me a video of me with the little Don Julio tequila bottles. Have you seen them?
Yeah.
I had 4 of them in my mouth with straws.
And then I had to
That was you.
represent us
No,
on
I'm
the
joking.
ABC. I had to represent us on the radio the following morning.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's brutal.
Yeah, I think I messaged Pal.
Well, it's a public holiday in 2026. You'll be relieved to know.
Yes.
I'm excited about that.
That's ideal.
I took a bunch of Brits to the opening game of the AFL.
Yeah.
And I lost my voice trying to explain AFL rules to a bunch of Brits. It was the Aston Martin team that looks after our cars.
Yeah.
But I think the opening game would be the following week then. I know this is a Formula One show, but...
It will be. It's round 0.
Yeah.
No, but round 0 is in Brisbane.
Of course. So I won't be hosting anyone at the
No.
footy then next year, which is
Actually,
a relief.
no. I think round 0 is the week of the Oz Grand Prix.
It is?
First
Maybe
week
I'll
of March.
have to get a couple of tickets for the
And if
opening
anyone's
game.
wondering what round 0 is, don't ask me because I still don't get it.
No, we're back to Formula One.
Back to Formula One.
Yeah.
Carl, this has been amazing.
It's been fun. Let's
It's
do this
been
again.
great. Absolutely. I mean, it's great to know that you're basically down the road. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see you this Sunday at the pub.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
we'll
I'll
see
be
you on
down
Sunday.
there. What time's the race start? Is it like 2
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. It's one of the few that's actually at a reasonable time.
acceptable time.
Amazing.
Yeah, Suzuka as well.
Yeah.
Singapore. Oh, Singapore's in the evening, isn't
Yeah,
it?
we do a couple of races here at the pub for the community.
Yeah.
The pub fills out because it's such a novelty to watch F1
Yeah.
in a pub in Australia. It's just not a thing. Like
Yeah.
last year,
Can't
I
do
was
it.
in England, in London, and I went to the pub to watch the race. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is great. Like,
Well,
this is
I
what's
will be
normal.
there with bells on Sunday.
Yeah.
Excited. I'll be texting the medical team.
Yes.
I'll get the inside
job.
knowledge. How
Yeah.
many G's was that?
It's been phenomenal. Thank you very, very
Thanks.
much.
Thanks for having me. It's been
Appreciate
fun.
this, and we'll chat to you on Sunday.
See you on Sunday.
Look forward to it. Sounds
Bye.
great.
Bye.
Bye.